Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. So I have one of our co-authors of a recently released book on the line. So his name is Bruce Elfenbein, and he's the CEO over at SecuRetirement. And for those of you that haven't caught the first episode or some of the other ones I've done with Bruce, so we're going to go into his background. We're going to get into this chapter, which is amazing, called Creating Your Dream Retirement. So we're going to get into that also. But before we do, hey, Bruce, welcome back to the show. It's a pleasure and honor to have you back.
Thanks, Adam, and pleasure to join you.
So I got to tell you, and you know this about my background, so I go way back when I was a financial advisor, almost 14 years. I've been in media now full-time for 4 years, and so it always strikes like my little heart chord when I see somebody write like you're writing for Creating Your Dream Retirement, and we're gonna get into that, but I don't want to assume that all of our new listeners caught your first episode or the other episodes you've done coming on the show. So just to get us kicked off, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing over at SecuRetirement, please.
Well, we have a great team of some of the best tax professionals, both attorneys and CPAs in the country. And we work with folks. We use tax strategies you just don't find on Main Street to help people keep more of what they've earned and set themselves up in a tax-advantaged way when they go into retirement. Our goal, we don't always hit it, but our goal is when by the time someone gets to retirement, we want them to be in a net zero or close to net zero tax bracket as there is. It's not, I know we've heard it before, not just from me, it's not just what we make, Adam, it's what we get to keep.
No, 100%. And at the end of this, Bruce, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave your website or social media or contact information. But I do want to make sure that the right types of individuals do follow up to connect with you and your team. What's typically a good fit or the right niche to work with your organization?
Well, I work with a lot of professionals, a lot of small business owners, where there are not just a lot of expenses, but they have very interesting scenarios in terms of being able to set aside money for retirement. Maybe they have some employees. They want to take care of their employees. They want to take care of themselves a little bit better. There's a lot of different ways to go, and regardless of what your situation is, and I mean, I even work with folks like a lot of school teachers and a lot of firefighters and police officers, where I show them how to leverage the benefits that they get and set themselves up so when they're ready to retire, of a fairly minimal amount of money being set aside, that they have a great income that they'll never outlive the rest of their lives.
So I think that's a great transition, Bruce. Let's jump into today's topic. So first off, congrats on being published. I mean, I love when I seen your submission, when I saw what you're writing and kind of the ethics and what you're doing behind it. I'm like, all right, this guy. Number one, Bruce is solid. Number two, all right, you have something to teach and something to say. So first off, Creating Your Dream Retirement. I mean, what was the inspiration for your writing here?
Well, you know, I'm not just a certified financial fiduciary, but I'm also a certified financial educator. It's kind of a mission to teach financial education through some of these other nonprofit organizations. I say people go to school, they give us the basic, the reading, the writing, arithmetic, right? But they don't teach you how to create a budget, and they don't teach you how to save for retirement, and they don't teach you things like this in school. And as a result, people's version of what do I do for retirement? Well, I have a 401k plan at work, or I have an IRA I set up, and they may contribute to it religiously, and they may build some money up. But when it comes to retirement, they don't have a clue. And they just look at this money and they say, I'm hoping this is going to last me the rest of my life. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, but they need to do things to protect themselves, and they need to do things to leverage their assets to get the maximum amount out of them. So I like teaching people this, and in my chapter, I really give people some good basics, a good foundation. Granted, there is no one-size-fits-all, but you got to have a good, solid foundation, and I give people the basics on how to get started and what direction to take that.
And so for the audience, so we're not going to get into the entire chapter today, and and even if we had the time to do that, by the way, we wouldn't, because we want you to go and buy the book. So we want you to read the full thing. We do sell books here, so it'll be up front, and there'll be links in the show notes, all that good stuff. So definitely pick up a copy. But I do want to go into some of this, Bruce. So first off, in the basics of retirement plan, in this section, I'll just read it verbatim. So the next step is to add up all your sources of guaranteed income. I find it very unique that you do talk a lot about guaranteed income here. So can you give us a little bit of context for that? Because I think some people out there maybe that are listening to this or watching this, depending on where they're at, they may not know that those types of things even exist.
Well, let's be really clear about this, Adam. If there's any two words that determine the quality of your retirement, it's guaranteed income. It's the money that keeps the roof over your head, the food on the table, the air conditioning. We're in Florida. I'm in Florida. I need the air conditioning on, but it allows you to have a life. It covers all your expenses. So you need guaranteed income. I'm not saying don't have money in the market. What I'm saying is that you need guaranteed income. For example, Social Security is guaranteed income. If you are lucky enough to be one of those few people that have a pension, that's guaranteed income. There are a number of safe, secure places to have money that will generate guaranteed income. And that has to make up a lot of your retirement. And after that, it's like I tell folks, listen, you want to have money in the market? Good for you. I do. But I don't have money in the market for day or next week. My money in the market is for 10, 20 years down the road, so I can help counter the effects of inflation and taxes. But that doesn't mean between now and then I don't have to pay my bills. And that's what guaranteed income is all about.
No, that's awesome, and I like that, and even in the chart in the book, you even have a nice chart that it kind of outlines, examples and what things look like, and I think one of the things that you kind of address in this is really the idea of compounding interest and what that looks like over time, because I see. Sometimes people get caught up on this idea of, they have to have the highest return on their investments in order to achieve their goals in retirement. But for many, that's just not the case. And many go out and they take more risks than they need to, maybe because they just didn't do the math. I mean, can you comment a little bit more on that?
Well, Albert Einstein said the greatest invention of the 20th century was compound interest. And it's amazing how powerful that can be. Let me give you an example. It's a little extreme, but it's still a phenomenal example. As I mentioned, I'm in South Florida. One of my clients has been this chiropractic office down in Key Largo for many years, and I handle everyone's retirement accounts and all. They got a new chiropractor that came to work there. And they said, listen, you got to go talk to Bruce. He takes care of all of our retirements. Now, most of the people there were younger. She was fairly new. She had just been out of chiropractic school, was just getting trained, and hers was a different situation. She was in her mid-20s. So when I met with her, my strategy for her was going to be different from everybody else. And I had asked her, I said, listen, after we look at your budget and we look at your bills and we see how much money you spend every month, how much money do you have left over at the end of the month? And she said, well, about $1,000. Now, understand this. She was very smart, very personable, very cute, had a steady boyfriend, and the writing was on the wall that one day that relationship, and eventually it did, blossom into something permanent, and then she would have kids, and then she'd be making a lot more money, but with kids, she's not going to have $1,000 a month left over anymore. So we figured we could put together a plan where she could afford $300 a month. $300 a month this month, next year, 2 years, 5 years. That's it, $300 a month. By putting $300 a month into this retirement product, and understand, it wasn't just her contributions, but it was the effect of compound interest. By the time she's ready to retire, she will begin taking a tax-free, I want to be clear about this, an income tax-free of over $100,000 a year for the rest of her life, with no chance of running out of money, leaving behind a couple $1 million for her beneficiaries on $300 a month. And it wasn't magic, it was compound interest. So it can be very strong and very powerful. When I was in my 20s, if I had extra money, I guess me and my buddies would go out and grab a case of beer and have a good weekend or a good day or whatever. I wasn't thinking about retirement. But I can tell you this, the earlier you get started, the greater the effect of compound interest and the positive effect it'll have on your retirement.
Man, I love that, and I think it's well said. And for all the youngins out there, the 20-some-year-olds, I mean, Bruce is not making this up. Like, you see this time and time again. And maybe spend a little bit and I know you do this so well in the chapter, but maybe address some of those that are closer to retirement. You've hit one end of it, so to speak, on the youngins that are just getting started. How about those that are thinking about like what's for them, like catching up?
Well, that's the thing is that number one, as you get closer to retirement, and I want to be clear, we never stop accumulating. However, we find that our tolerance for risk goes down a little bit, and conservation, keeping what we've worked so hard to obtain during our lives, becomes more important than taking a lot of risk to accumulate. And listen, there's a lot of safe and guaranteed things out there that'll give you a 4 or 5, 6, 8% return. If you could live with that, you'll be happy. If you're looking for double-digit returns, that's going to be tough. But there's a lot of safe, guaranteed things out there you can use. And what you need to do is take a look at what you're spending every month, and take a look at what it is, no matter how much or how little or whatever it is. And see how you can leverage that. You'd be amazed sometimes at the incredible retirements we've been able to create for people with what you would look at and say there's no way that's going to last them the rest of their lives. They're going to blow right through it. But there are financial instruments that will allow you to grow and leverage your money. So, yeah, obviously you're going to expect to hear this from me. I don't want to disappoint you. Go talk to a professional. Go to talk to someone like myself, a certified financial fiduciary that will have your best interest at heart, that will give you good advice, that will point you in the right direction, and will tell you, listen, if this is what you're expecting, you may have to adjust your expectations a little bit. But sometimes you find out that, listen, there are some great retirement products out there that can really give you a great return and make sure that you never run out of money and put you on really good footing as far as your taxes are concerned. And listen, I don't mind paying my taxes, because I know the government spends my money so wisely. But not everybody feels that way, but it is,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm one of those that don't feel that way. But we're not going to. I'm not going to go out on a rant right now. I've been doing so well, Bruce. So lately. So that being said, I just want to say, first off, if somebody's listening to this and they do want to connect with you and your team to learn more about what you're doing at Secure Retirement, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, you can go to the website, which is www, and it's Secure Retirement. But I got really clever, and I used the RE and Secure and Retirement, kind of overlapped them. So it's www.securetirement.life. Hey, call me. You can call our direct number, which is 786-546-9302, and you can ask for Bruce.
Fantastic. Well, Bruce, first off, congrats again on being published. Honor for us to get your work out there and to really educate our audience on what it means, guaranteed income. I mean, you go through a lot in the book, so it's awesome. And so congrats again. Happy to have published you. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Authors, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Bruce, thanks again for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks again, Adam. I look forward to seeing you again.